Hey friends, thanks for listening to Eat Your Spanish. If you want to support our podcast, you can do so by subscribing to the show and leaving a positive review on your podcast app. You can also support us on our Patreon page at patreon.com/eatyourspanish, where you can get exciting bonus content such as songs, stickers, and more for as little as $2 a month. Thanks for listening. Now on with the show.
Hello friends,
Hola amigos,
how are you?
¿cómo están?
I'm so happy
Estoy feliz
to be with you.
a estar contigo.
Are you hungry
Tienen hambre
to sing and play?
a cantar y jugar,
'Cause on our menu
porque en el menú
is Spanish today. Everybody sing.
Eat your Spanish, eat your Spanish, eat your Spanish with us today.
Did you say spinach? No, I said Spanish. Okay.
Eat your Spanish with us today. Eat your Spanish!
With Mrs. Elephant.
And Mr. Mouse.
It's time for Spanish Word of the Week. For if it's learning Spanish that you seek, you'll be so impressed with all the words you can speak. It's time for Spanish Word of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Mouse. Hola, amigos. Me llamo Mrs. Elephant.
Yummy yummo, Mr. Mouse. Welcome to our very special Spanish Word of the Week segment here on Eat Your Spanish.
We're so happy to present you with this very special Spanish Word of the Week from one of our Patreon subscribers. All right, Mr. Mouse, let her rip.
Okay, here goes nothing.
Mr. Mouse, what on earth was that?
You said let her rip, so I just ripped my shirt in half.
Mr. Mouse, oh my good gravy, that is just a figure of speech, you silly goose. It just means go on ahead.
Oh, my. Well, I guess I feel a little silly now. And actually, a little bit chilly. What is a figure of speech, though?
So a figure of speech is when a cultural group uses words to mean something different than the meaning you're used to hearing. Usually they come from real things that have happened in history. So it's important to look up what these mean now that we're all working towards being kinder and more respectful, because sometimes figures of speech we're used to hearing can be offensive or unkind to groups of people. And that's just not okay these days. We gotta love everyone. We all deserve respect.
That's right, Mrs. Elephant, I agree. History sometimes leaves nasty little bits behind, and it can hide in the strangest places. Even our own language and the way we interact with each other.
That is so true, Mr. Mouse. All we really have to do is read a little and find out facts. It takes a little extra thought and care, but I'll tell you what, Mr. Mouse, it works like a charm every time and makes us all better for it. Knowledge is power, it really is.
I agree, Mrs. Elephant. It's totally worth it. Or as my cousin Ratoncito Juanito always says, vale la pena. Where does the saying, let her rip, come from, Mrs. Elephant?
Good question, Mr. Mouse. It actually originated during boat races on the Mississippi and other rivers when steamboat races were first happening in America. Captains used to use their steam to stay in the lead. So apparently, from what I'm reading, sometimes the boiler would get too hot and pressurized and it would rip right down the middle.
Whoa, Mrs. Elephant, that is fascinating. Are there figures of speech like this in all languages?
That's a great question, Mr. Mouse. I think there must be, but I don't know for sure. I've got to do more reading. I know there definitely are in English and in Spanish. Oh, and elephant language too.
Yeah, mouse language too.
Wow, that's amazing. Just goes to show you can learn something new every day if you just ask a few questions. Anywho, we better go ahead and push that drum roll button.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Alrighty, amigos. This week's question is from Mason. Mason, Mason, what is your question?
Hola, my name is Mason, and I'm 7 years old, and I live in Idaho, and my question is, how do you say space escape in Spanish? And I really like your podcast, Evan and Vanessa, and I really thought Mr. Mouse and Mrs. Elephant were really funny on the first episode.
Oh my goodness, Mason. We're just so thankful for your kind words. You really are a special person, and we are so glad you're enjoying our songs and our adventures. Also, I just love the question. A little birdie told me that Space Escape is the name of your favorite board game. I can't wait to translate it for you. That sounds like a really fantastic game.
Yeah, I just love outer space. It's just fascinating. Mrs. E, remember the last time when we went camping and we were so far into the woods and away from all the city lights and we could see thousands and thousands of stars up above us?
Oh, of course I remember. How could I forget such a magic feeling? I remember feeling your tiny little mouse body on top of my head as I watched the stars sparkling up way above. I think you may have even fell asleep up there for a minute.
Yeah, I did. It's nice to fall asleep under a blanket of stars.
Oh, Mr. Mouse, you're such a little poet. It's true, outer space is really just amazing. Should we go on ahead and tell Mason and all our other amigos how to say space escape in Spanish?
Sounds great, Mrs. Elephant. How about we repeat after you?
Great idea. The way to say space escape in Spanish is escape espacial. So repeat after me. Escape espacial.
Escape espacial.
Escape espacial.
Escape espacial.
Perfecto, amigos. That was great work.
Yeah, muy bien, amigos.
That is such a fun thing to say. It almost rhymes in English and kind of sort of rhymes in Spanish too. Well, now that y'all know the word for this week, your challenge will be to use these words escape espacial instead of space escape every chance you can for this whole week. Maybe you'll even be inspired to go outside and look up at the stars. You could even make a picture titled Escape Espacial and share it with all of us.
Yay, that sounds so fun. We should do that after dinner tonight.
Sounds like a plan, Stan.
And amigos, don't forget to send us a picture, video, or piece of beautiful artwork of you saying Escape Espacial. We just love seeing our sweet amigos.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Mouse. Y'all are just so wonderful.
We've had so much fun with you all today, amigos, but now it's time for our special goodbye song.
We hope y'all sing along with us.
Adios, mi buen amigo.
Goodbye, my good friend.
Hasta luego.
See you later. See you later, my good friend. Adios, amigos. Goodbye, friends.
Hasta luego. See you later.
Thanks for listening to the Eat Your Spanish podcast. You can support our podcast by visiting patreon.com/eatyourspanish or by subscribing to it and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, or on the web at eatyourspanishpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. Adios!